that it's the duty of all jihadists, of all Muslims, to fight, okay, to practice jihad. And I say this is an Islamic obligation, according all Islamic resources, that jihad is the most fundamental principle of Islam, and all Muslims are committed to jihad. Now, those who cannot fight by the means of the sword, like they are not capable physically or mentally, they have to donate and they have to fund those who are able to fight. And this shows you why the vast majority of the Muslim world are complicit in jihad and jihadism to the degree they have failed to condemn Hamas up to now. Why? Because they know deep in their belief that Hamas is practicing Islam. Now, the fancy idea of let's try to destroy or annihilate civilizations in the West and in the East. Islam is not only against Christians or Jews. Islam is against all non-Muslims. And that includes Hindus, that includes Buddhists, and we have a long history of Islamic violence against all other religions around the world. Now, for people, it's fancy because they haven't experienced the manifestation of an Islamic State, or they lack knowledge. They are not familiar with the Islamic history. That I don't want to say millions, but at least hundreds of thousands of Muslims actually killed each other in the internal Islamic conflict between Islamic Khilafahs. So I don't want to go too far with this. The Islamic State throughout the centuries, 1400 years of experience, proved to be a dead end, proved to be a failing model that did not work. So today, as a historian, as a person who is not willing to compromise my intelligence, I know that the Islamic Khilafah will not lead to prosperity, to peace, to stability, to justice. And it is going only to ignite the bloodlust for more dominion, for more aggression, where the Muslim jihadists can take women, children as booty. They can enslave humanity in case they don't convert to Islam. So my intelligence does not allow me to accept such a belief system. And many people tried so hard to differentiate, say, no, there are good Muslims and there are bad Muslims. You know, this game of good cop versus bad cop. But they are both, or both parties are serving the same God. They are serving the same constitution. Hence, we have to address Islam the way it is. And the more we tolerate such an aggressive and violent mindset, more violence will happen. And I don't want this young enthusiasts who think that establishing an Islamic State or a Palestinian state on the rubble of Israel, or an Islamic State on the rubble of civilization, what's in common between these two entities, Palestine and the Islamic State, that both of them depend on the destruction of that which exists.
So then how do you, so if you were, let's say, Mosab, you were the leader of the free world, you were the emperor of reason, would you halt immigration from Islamic countries knowing that notwithstanding the fact that there are millions of peaceful, loving Muslims that don't want to hurt anybody, Islam itself is problematic in terms of it being able to assimilate within a Western context. And therefore, how could you allow millions of people to come into your country that have 99% of them Jew hatred? You're going to get an increase in Jew hatred. I live in Montreal. 20 years ago, I never had to worry about Islam. Today, I have to be very careful not to wear a Star of David that's too big in Montreal, Canada. So, is the ultimate goal going to be Islam cannot coexist within the West, or is there a way, to my earlier question, of making it somehow more gentle, or are we doomed? What give us some optimism.
Okay, take for example Americans from Muslim background. When they vow loyalty to the American Constitution, this is supposed, before they get their citizenship as immigrants, they make a vow to the American Constitution and loyalty, national loyalty to the United States. This is the supreme authority of all Americans. But are Muslims sincere when they pledge loyalty to the American Constitution? Are they sincere? Because this contradicts with Islamic law. The Sharia law does not see any higher authority than Allah. Whether if it's earthly or heavenly, Allah is, don't they say Allahu Akbar means Allah is greater?
The greatest, yeah.
It's not the greatest, is greater, but greater than who?
Than what, yeah.
Than everything else.
Yeah.
Than the other gods, and than man, than creation. They totally separate divinity from creation. And I think this is a fundamental problem in Islam, that does not see actually the creator and creation as one thing. So anyway, we need the Muslims who immigrate to the West to make their loyalty to the country that welcomes them and give them citizenship, not loyalty to a hypothetical entity called whatever you want to call it. Now, people have the freedom to practice Islam if they want. At some point, I was practicing Islam more than anyone else. My mother used to say, "You were born in a mosque," you know, when she wanted to give me a hard time when I asked questions. And it's true. You know, Islam was our project. My family brought Islam back to life. So this is where I get my authority to criticize Islam. Also, as someone who went to a Sharia school, someone who studied the Quran, someone who's familiar with the Islamic intellect and the different Islamic schools, their dialogue and their argument. So you cannot be American and Muslim at the same time. You have to choose. If you want to be, if you make your pledge and your loyalty to the American Constitution, you are contradicting with Allah. Then you have a moral crisis. But there is a concept in Islam called taqiyya. And in taqiyya, you can announce something, like if you were in Dar al-Kufr, which is, let's say, the country of infidels. In the country of infidels, if you were forced to choose, let's say, a fake identity, let's say American, this is a fake identity, but your true identity is Islam. So you can hide your true identity to avoid persecution and pretend to be American in the meantime. But when we have chaos, like the chaos we experience right now regarding Palestine, all of a sudden, the loyalty is not to the American Constitution. It becomes the loyalty to Islam and to Allah.
Wow. Are you able to, I mean, when you make your public pronouncements, is there a greater success rate in trying to convince the Westerners who have romanticized these ideas, or are you able to take some of the doubting Muslims and get them to finally see the light? Is there a difference in your ability to actually persuade either of these two groups?
Look, I have been in this I don't know, say a mission because I don't have a mission, but journey, trying to explain to people the danger of Islam. And it looks like many people are in denial
Yeah.
because they don't want to accept that there are 200 or there are 2 billion, close to 2 billion Muslims.
About 1/4 of humanity.
A quarter population of Earth believe in a sick religion. And I am not going to sugarcoat it. My personal, I don't, it's not an opinion, but my personal experience with Islam and its evolution. Islam is a mental illness, and Muslims are mentally ill. I cannot trust them with anything because they are double-faced, because they are conflicted about their religious identity, and all they know how to demonstrate is violence and aggression whenever they are threatened in their comfort, in the cave of their delusion. So it's my moral stand. It's very different than yours. You don't have to go there and confronting. You can hold the dialogue. But I personally don't sit with people who want me to cease to exist. When they push me to the corner where I'm fighting for my life, for a crime that I haven't committed, then they have crossed all the lines and there is no dialogue between me and such people. And I will fight. First, I will fight the good fight. And I will do whatever it takes to defend myself. It doesn't matter if they are 2 billion or 8 billion. It doesn't matter. So to see it in a positive way, I think the upper hand should be to a civil constitution. And first, we need to demonstrate this here in the United States, like the Muslims. What is your loyalty? Is it to Allah or to the American Constitution? Because Christians, Buddhists, Hindus, all other religions, including Jews in the United States, all American citizens are under the authority of the American Constitution. No one is above the law. Isn't this the rule of the law, that no one is above the law? But for some reason, Muslims think that they are above the American Constitution. So I ask myself, why are you in this country to begin with? What motivated you to come to this country? Is it capitalism? Then suddenly now you are changing colors and you want to turn your back on the country that took you in, especially in a wartime, demonstrating and I would say persecuting religious minorities like the Jewish people. So what I would like to see, whether if it's Arab country, Asian country, all Muslim countries, that they can begin with a civil constitution and not allow religious authorities have an absolute control of people's choices. So if we can do the first step of bringing a civil constitution, then I think people themselves will drop many of the religious beliefs.
Inshallah.